everyone. We welcome you to our regular meeting on this Thursday, April 18th. At this time, we will have our roll call. Mr. Clerk, please.
Dominic.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Jackson. Lynn.
Present.
Bowman. Cawthorn.
Present.
Watts.
Present.
Middleton. Atkins. Chavez.
Here, sir.
Smith. Lewis Johnson.
Present.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll have our invocation by Commissioner Lewis Johnson. Will be followed by our pledge, and I ask you if you would come up, Cadet C. Stewart, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask everyone to please stand and silence your cell phones.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, Lord, we come before you now in the name of Jesus, in whose name there is peace and fullness of joy. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your grace, and we thank you for your mercy. We pray now, Lord, that you would, by your Spirit and by your power, that you would lead us and direct us, O Lord, as it relates to those concerns of the parish. We pray, O Lord, that all that we do, all that we say will give you glory. This is our prayer, and it is in the precious and powerful name of Jesus Christ that we pray. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson, and thank you, Cadet C. Stewart. As you can all see on this afternoon, we are surrounded by youth in honor of NACO's County Awareness Month, Government Month. And each commissioner has a junior commissioner next to them. We've invited them to be a part of what we do on a daily basis. And they are part of our process on today. So we're going to start down at Commissioner Johnson and have his guests to introduce themselves.
You want them to introduce themselves?
Yes.
Okay. Stand and introduce yourself, your name, your school.
Hi, my name is Karshanda. I come from Eber High School and I'm a junior.
Hey now everyone, I'm Adam Pollard and I'm a senior at Southwood High School.
Hi, my name is Marian Nelson and I go to Uri Drive and I'm in 8th grade.
Hi, my name is Sakaria Henderson. I go to Uri Drive and I'm in 8th grade.
Hello everyone, my name is Madison Carson and I'm a senior at Huntington High School.
How you doing, everyone? My name is Joseph Penwell. I go to Camp Beauregard.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Samaya Adams, and I'm a senior at Booker T. Washington High School.
Hi, my name is Austin Kinsey. I'm from First Baptist in 5th grade.
Thank you so much for receiving our youth on today. We believe in making an investment in them, and this is our future. Commissioner Mike Middleton, there's a very special guest that did not introduce himself. Would you please introduce him?
This is my grandson from Longview, Texas, John Walker Ware. He's 7.5, and I appreciate that. And if I may give one more shout out, is anybody in here having a 14th birthday today? Security. Happy birthday. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. At this time, I think I have some agenda additions, Mr. Clerk. Well, we actually want to suspend the rules.
Yes, second.
Did I get a motion?
Yeah. I make a motion, I'm sorry, to suspend the rules to pull up first Judge Stone, and because she's here now, and the special recognition of Mr. Valentine, and then the one for the telecommunications folks.
Second.
Okay. All right. Is there any objections to that? Okay, that moves by acclamation. So after, I have no agenda additions, Mr. Clerk. I have one card for the citizens' comments. The next order of business will be our special resolutions, and Vice President Chavez would like to make a special recognition to the cadets that are visiting us also.
Thank you. Right, we left them out. Would the 10 cadets from Minden please stand and introduce your guys yourself as well? Okay. The ladies first.
Well, my name is Frazier, first name
Thank you guys for coming to spend your day with us today.
You are welcome. We are elated to have you as our special guest as well. You are joining all of the actual counties across America on this special government day. And our first citizen that we have is Mr. Bill Weiner. Yes, please come up.
I'm Bill Weiner. I live at number 2 Longleaf Lane, Shreveport. I want to bring something to your attention, and it's going to anger a few people, but I think you're might be doing something in this session that is in violation of federal law, the Establishment Clause. Your donation to the Boy Scouts of America. Years ago, I was doing some work for the city of Shreveport on one of the parks that had a Boy Scout hut, and I was finding out all I could about it. And somebody told me that to be a Boy Scout, you were asked a question, do you believe in God? If you said no, you didn't get into the Boy Scouts. I didn't really believe something like that would exist, so I called the National Boy Scout office and asked them. And they said, well, it's up to the local, what do they call it, commission?
Den. Den, local den.
Council.
Council to determine whether they want to be faith-oriented or not. So I called the Newella Council and asked them, and they said, yes, in Shreveport, we asked the question, do you believe in God? Yes or no, and if you don't, you don't join. This was at least 20 years ago. I don't know if it's still in effect, but it shouldn't be, and if you donate to them, you're crossing the line of the Establishment Clause by a government body supporting one faith over all others. And I would suggest, so that you can find out, that you table it and inquire to them what their policy is now, and then take the appropriate action. Thank you. Any questions?
We can't ask you questions at this time, but we thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And at this time, we'll have our special resolutions, Mr. Clerk. And we'll ask the Honorable Judge Shonda Stone to please come forward. Commissioner Johnson is coming right behind you.
Madam President.
Yes, sir.
And all of my fellow commissioners. On April the 4th, we read a resolution giving honor to our civil rights activists back in the 60s. And one of the recipients of our award was Mr. Jesse Stone, Jr. Receiving today is his daughter, Shonda Stone. And the impact of what we did on April the 4th goes a long way. It basically opened the door of what our civil rights activists did here in Shreveport and in Caddo Parish. A lot of times you hear about history of leaders across the United States, but we had also leaders here in Shreveport as well. And Jesse Stone was one of those. He was the first one in his graduating class of Southern Law School. He also broke the color barrier for attorneys also in the Shreveport area. He was an educator. He was a dean of the law school. He did a lot of things. He worked with Dr. Martin Luther King with the Southern Coalition. And so there was a lot that went on here in Shreveport that led to a lot of things that happened during the civil rights movement. And today we want to honor your father by giving you this key to the parish.
Thank you very much. Let me just thank you. Let me just thank the commission, and I'm particularly excited to receive this posthumous award on behalf of my father today because you have young people who are sitting at the council table with you, and you have young people in the audience. Young people don't always understand or recognize that all the strides that we have made in terms of civil rights were not just made so long ago. In fact, they need to know their history. There's a saying that if we don't learn our history, we're certainly doomed to repeat it. And so I'm happy to see that we have so many young people here. And for parents of the young people who are here, I want to thank you for your commitment to your children and the commitment to education. That was one of my dad's mantras, and his main mantra was, to whom much is given, much is required. So I just want to thank you again for this award and for recognizing and remembering my father. I could speak on Jesse Stone forever and a day. You don't have that kind of time, but I certainly appreciate it. And this is received on behalf of course, my mother and myself. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Got some other commissioners on the board that want to talk as well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm always so anxious to leave. You know,
Yes,
people always pull me back. But okay.
I understand. I almost wanted to ask everyone to stand when I called you up. Thank you so much, Judge, for coming down, making time to come back again this week so that we could share this proclamation, this resolution with you to honor your father as this posthumous award is given unto you with the key to the parish. Where there are minimal of them out there, you hold one. So we just thank you so much for your continued service.
Thank you.
And what you have just said to these generations that are sitting before us on today. Because the theme for NACO's National County Government Month is about connecting the unconnected. And sometimes we think of history as happening so long ago when it's actually right there and it's reachable. Because when we look at people like you and people like me and a lot of people that is sitting around this horseshoe, it's still history being made. So we're excited and we're elated to have you as our special guest and be able to honor you with this award. So thank you.
One last thing, when I look around this room and I look in the faces of these young people, I know that that our future is in good hands.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, take a picture? He's been wanting to take a picture with me for a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Todd, at this time, we'll have our next special resolution for Valentine.
We have a special resolution of recognition and remembrance to Ralph Valentine.
Please stand.
You want to make a motion? I'll second Commissioner Lewis Johnson's motion, if that's okay.
Yes, sir. Please stand.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I ask at this time, if you would, that my fellow commissioner, Commissioner Mike Middleton, would come down with me, and Commissioner Doug Dominic. I'm especially honored to make this presentation or this resolution, and I want to personally thank each member of the Caddo Parish Commission. And that when I asked it of the commission, and when they became aware, many who already were, of Mr. Valentine and the things that he have accomplished, they were so gracious that each member of the Caddo Parish Commission is joining me on this resolution on today. So to each of you, thank you very much. Also, I'd like to thank and acknowledge those other healthcare providers from emergency medical services, be it fire department, ambulance service, that are here on today to show their support. So I thank them, as I ask that the Valentine family would please come and join me at this point. This is the resolution of remembrance and respect for Mr. Ralph D. Valentine, and it reads thusly. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission pauses to reflect with sad fondness upon the life and legacy of Ralph D. Valentine, whose passing on April 8, 2019 marked the close of a long and productive life of service to his God, his family, and his community. And whereas Mr. Ralph Valentine has served the community faithfully and effectively since 1966. He has served as a provider of elderly home care, brought his contributions when he established medical transportation services for Medicaid wheelchair and non-emergency ambulance services in 1979, and further endowed the citizens of Caddo Parish and Shreveport in 1983 by forming Valentine Ambulance Service to provide non-emergency ambulance services. And whereas Mr. Valentine served his community with integrity, dedication, and commitment, his passionate dedication to health care, public safety, and the welfare of citizens can be traced through his entire lifetime. Mr. Valentine's love for this community has resonated throughout with his many hours of community service and his willingness to provide the citizens of Caddo Parish a quality service in every endeavor. And whereas Mr. Valentine was also a devout Gideon, assisting in distribution of Bibles to all parts of the world in various languages, he loved his Lord, church, and his men's Sunday school class. And whereas Mr. Valentine lived a life filled with helping others, which was made complete with sharing his love and his life with the love of his life, Ms. Levita Cloud Valentine, their children, and their grandchildren. Now, therefore be it resolved that Mr. Ralph Valentine will be forever remembered as a true friend to Caddo Parish, and that this commission does extend to this family and many friends its most sincere expression of sympathy and consolation, and assurance that the commission shares their grief and the prayer that they will be comforted by the certainty of the joy and peace that Mr. Valentine has now found in his eternal home. And this this resolution of remembrance bears the seal of Caddo Parish. It bears the signature of our president and each member of the Caddo Parish Commission.
You may be seated.
At this moment, I'm going to ask that one of the members of the family please come up and make a brief remark.
On behalf of the family, I would like to express our appreciation to the commission for allowing us this honor. And, you know, one thing that he taught us and throughout his whole life was to take care of the patients you care for and take care of your community. And that's how we're going to honor him, is we're going to continue to take care of our patients, and we'll always be here for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly, I would ask if those responders, be it paramedic, firefighters, or others who are here, as a show of support for Mr. Valentine, would you please stand at this time?
I've known the Valentines and the family for quite some time. He was a great leader to our community, and he'll be truly missed. So you're in our thoughts and prayers. Lewis did an outstanding job. It's unusual, but we had all 12 commissioners. Usually it's just like one or two signs. So y'all can take that to heart and look at everybody here supporting y'all. So thank y'all so much, and we wish y'all the best of luck.
Y'all said it all.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We just have one other commissioner on board who would like to speak. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President, and I won't be long. I just want to say to the Valentine family and ambulance place, I just want to thank you for the service and service that you've done and that you continue to do. I personally have 2 occasions in which you all did something for my family. My father had a heart attack years ago, and he had to have a quadruple bypass, and you all were there and fast. And then my mother, along for her last battle with cancer, you all showed so much love and helped us out when we need to get her there to the hospital. And I just thank you all personally, and just keep doing what you're doing. And you will be missed. I don't want to get choked up. I just want to thank you all again. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Clerk.
Madam President, I think at this time, Commissioner Middleton would like to approve and read Resolution 28 of 2019.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Middleton and second by the chair. Is there any opposition? Okay, and that passes by acclamation. All right.
Before Todd reads this, I just want to explain to everybody that this was actually way down on the agenda down here. We moved it up so we can have it here because I hear Easter bunnies fixing to be chased by you folks. So we want to get y'all on out here so you don't have to listen to stuff.
And just before I ask everyone to stand, I just want to take a presidential privilege to recognize that we have our Sheriff, Steve Prater, here.
Yay.
As well as our Chief of Police, Ben Raymond. If you would please stand, we thank you both so much for your service to Shreveport and to the Caddo Parish area. Thank you so much for being here today. Extend your hands.
If we can ask the telecommunications folks to come up, please.
Fire Chief.
Yes, and the Chief and the Sheriff. They'll come up here.
I heard we had a councilman here also, Grayson Butcher.
Butcher. Come on.
Councilman, welcome.
He was on the 911 board.
All right.
Come up if you like. All right.
And at this time, I will ask you all to please stand.
Doug Gibbs.
Captain.
Captain Doug Gibbs.
And there's Chiefs. We're just going to continue to call our names, right? Hello, Chief. Thank you. Thank you all so much for your service. Commissioner Middleton.
Todd's going to read it.
Mr. Clerk.
In the name and by the authority of the Caddo Parish Commission, Resolution number 28 of 2019, proclaiming and supporting April 14th through 20th as National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. Whereas telecommunicators and public safety dispatchers are a vital link between the public and emergency service personnel by answering calls to E911, dispatching appropriate fire, medical, and law enforcement resources, monitoring activities by radio, providing critical information, and ensuring safety for all. And whereas public safety dispatchers at Caddo Parish Communications District Number 1 provide services to the citizens of Caddo Parish with a heightened degree of compassion and professionalism 24 hours a day. And whereas emergencies can occur at any time that may require police, fire, medical, or other emergency services, the prompt response of emergency service personnel is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property here in Caddo Parish. The effectiveness and safety of emergency service personnel is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone dispatchers. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission, meeting in regular session on Thursday, April 18, 2019, does hereby proclaim April 14th through 20th as National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week in Caddo Parish in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism help keep our parish and citizens safe. Signed, all 12 commissioners.
You all may be seated.
Hi, my name is Martha Carter, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the Caddo Parish 911 District. And I just want to take just 1 minute to say that our 911 system works as well as it does because we have highly trained men and women who work for the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, the Shreveport Police Department, and the Shreveport Fire Department. And we are very blessed. It's one of those things that when those individuals receive those calls for service, it's typically when our citizens are at their worst. They are calling for assistance, whether it be for a crime in progress, a medical emergency, or a fire. And so I want to say on behalf of the district, thank y'all for supporting us and thank you for recognizing the good work that these individuals do. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Honorable Commissioners.
Good afternoon, Chief.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and I want to thank Commissioner Middleton and Commissioner Johnson for bringing this resolution forward, recognizing our communication officers. Our communication officers are professionals. They many people don't know this, but and I'm kind of partial to the fire department because I wear this patch. But our fire communication officers take every call, every 911 call from the entire Caddo Parish, whether it's from North Caddo to South Caddo. Those calls come through our 911 dispatchers and call takers here at the Caddo 911 facility. I'm very proud of them. They are endowed with great talents and abilities from God, and they use those to serve the entire citizenry of this parish. The Shreveport Fire Department serves every citizen in the parish of Caddo in some form or fashion. And we're very honored and proud to do that. And I'm very honored and proud. My Chief of Communication is here, Chief Kim Tolliver. So I want to make sure to recognize her. She does an outstanding job leading her division, and she has outstanding men and women that serve in that division, and they do a great job every day. Thank you again for recognizing them this week and really putting on point what they do. And but just be reminded, they do it every day of the year. So if you see them, thank them very much.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll say something. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for doing this. Just like the chief said, the fire chief said, what you do by thanking them means a whole lot to them, because we can't thank them enough for what they do. It's amazing to sit in there and just to, if you ever get a chance, go by and see what all goes on in that communication center. It's just amazing. The other day we got involved in the unfortunate event where where 3 different agencies had to chase somebody for almost an hour, and then we end up shooting him. And you can imagine, we had all 3 fire, police, and sheriff's office dispatchers going at the same time. You had 3 agencies involved in a huge chase with 35 or 40 units in that chase, all over town and all over the parish. Yeah. And then it culminated at Greenwood and Jewella, the busiest intersection in Shreveport. Hello. And you can imagine, it was pandemonium, as they used to say in the wrestling days. You know, it was a lot going on, and they kept it all straight. And for as many years as I've been policing, which is a long time, I've counted on them for so many times. You can't imagine what it's like to hear the phone ring. We always wonder wonder who's calling. When they hear it ring, they don't know if it's going to be a baby that's choking to death and a mother needing to know how to help, or a young person that's on the bottom of a swimming pool, or somebody that's been shot, or somebody can't find the Holiday Inn. You know, it's just, they have to be ready for anything, and so it's just what they do is overlooked many times. The ones of us that carry guns and chase people, that gets talked about more. What they do is every bit as stressful, and it's very much thanked. The fire department does answer all the 911 calls, and then usually the sheriff's office gets there and straightens it out and figures out what they got wrong on the call. So anyway, but they do a good job. They do. We work hand in hand, and I got to gig him. Martha, Don, come up here. This may scare you, but Don is the brains behind the organization over there, and it's a good thing. Captain Gibbs and does a great job, as does Martha, and we appreciate you running a place like you do. All right, thank y'all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, not to be too repetitive, Chief Wilburton and Sheriff Prater certainly said a lot of things, a lot of accurate things. In continuation thereof, we take for granted that when I get in the radio and call, someone's going to answer my call. Or if I get on the phone and call 911, police or fire or sheriff's office specifically, someone's going to answer the other line. 2 pieces of equipment that I feel comfortable leaving my house with every day, and that I'll turn around and go back home if I don't have them. One, unfortunately, is my firearm, and the second is my radio. And I feel confident in my abilities with those 2 pieces of equipment. The older I get, the more I'm going to depend on that radio. So I do appreciate the work they do. It's also quite a training program. A lot of the they don't go to academy per se, like an officer or deputy, but it's a 1-year training program that the communications officers go through, and it's very intense, and it's not something that everybody makes it through. And I think that just kind of leads to the professionalism of that particular career field, and how much more appreciative of them we should be. Thank you.
City Councilman, Councilman Grayson Butcher is here today in a dual role. Both he has a background in the fire service, and he certainly came to show his respect for Mr. Valentine. So I would ask that he would address us as well. City Councilman Grayson Butcher.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Middleton. It's an honor to be here to speak to y'all today. I actually, as a young adult, worked for Mr. Valentine for several months, year, close to that. Also worked with him very closely whenever I was the fire chief at Fire District 5. Mr. Valentine and that whole organization is stand up and an asset to the city of Shreveport and to Caddo Parish. So I am so glad to see that y'all recognizing the contributions that Mr. Valentine and his family have given to our city and to our parish. Also, a little bit of history about me. I was a fire communications officer. In fact, I think Chief Tolliver took my place when I quit back in 19-some odd. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I worked down there for about 5 years. Unless you've gone down there and taken those calls, what the sheriff said, you're right. You may get a call wanting a taxi cab. You may get somebody that's child is unconscious, not breathing, and I would say that Caddo 911. I served on the board there for a couple of years as well. They are definitely the backbone to public service in Shreveport and Caddo Parish. So I'm very honored to have been a part of that, and I appreciate y'all letting me speak about it. And I think that every time that you call 911, you need to think those guys and girls, they hear a lot of stuff. So they are the backbone. They're the ones that pretty much, like the chief said, if you don't have your radio, you feel like you're kind of naked. So I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
To come down to say, you know, when you're among so much greatness, it felt odd sitting behind the podium to speak before you all. So I just wanted to come down to personally be as humble as I could to say thank you so much for everything that you do on a daily basis. I thank you, Chief, for bringing that information to light, because a lot of people don't realize how much things go on behind the scenes. They see all the brutal things that you deal with, but they don't see the beautiful things that you deal with. When you have to save that baby who is at the bottom of a pool. You know, sometimes I call and I do know the difference between 911 and 673-7300 because I call it so much. There's so many people who don't, and they only take advantage of the information that they know. So I thank you on behalf of the citizens of Caddo Parish for the things that you do every day, putting your life on the line for others. You are loved and definitely appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to close the comments, I think. As Sheriff Prater mentioned, the incident last week, I want you to understand that, and I just confirmed with Ms. Carter, all of the, everyone has the opportunity to debrief on this thing, a stress debrief, and including the 911 telecommunications officers. So they go through that same thing too, because that's a stressful thing, having to hear all that and know what's going on. Think about yourself, trying to imagine in your mind. And I want to say one other thing. My first full job when I graduated from high school was December 3rd of 1973. I was a dispatcher for Shreveport PD. And I did that until April of 75, about 16 months. And I remember I had brown hair, and I remember he had brown hair because I remember him going by every time where the dispatch was at that time. And so I've known him since 1967. So anyhow, I appreciate everybody being here. Thank y'all.
Commissioner Johnson's going to take a picture of everybody, if you will.
Don't like
y'all got to get in close like y'all know each other.
Communication person here to do this stuff.
No.
You don't have anybody down here that would have.
We got Randy.
They could put some on.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Do we need to move back into session?
We need to approve this resolution now.
Okay. That, yes. Okay. Make a motion to move back into regular session.
Second.
So moved.
Next, we move to adopt the regular session minutes of April 4th.
So moved.
Second.
That was moved by Vice President Chavez, and that was seconded by Commissioner Lyndon
LB.
B. Johnson.
LB.
Is that Lyndon B. Johnson? Okay, please vote.
Sorry, LB. Sounded like Mike's voice.
He said Mike's not that good looking.
They've been around each other too long.
I didn't say that.
You talking about me and the sheriff?
Mr. Atkins? Thank you.
Okay, that passes 11 with one out of the chamber.
Next, we move to communication committee reports, administration response to information requests.
You have nothing to do, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. I see no commissioners on board. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Hi.
Oh, sorry. I said one second. Hold on. It's not working. All right. I have one, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Clark, can you come up? I want to see if you got any information about that mobile home on North Lake Shore.
We have, Commissioner, gone out and looked at the mobile home. It is not a legal mobile home, and we're working to resolve the problem.
Okay.
I've been out of town for the past week, so I haven't been in touch with the staff about what has transpired.
Okay. I got another question for you, but
Yes, sir.
I'll get with that after the meeting.
Okay, no problem. I'll wait around.
Just stick around for me. Anybody here from Public Works?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I see Tim. Tim, it's gonna be an easy one. Do y'all have the list of roads that will be worked on this year?
Yes.
Can you send that to me?
Yes, I'll email them to you.
Thank you.
I like that too.
Yeah. Email.
I'll just send. I'll send them to
CC all
Todd.
12 commissioners, please.
I'll send them to Todd and he can let him distribute them to y'all.
We all in this together.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver.
That's it.
That's it, Commissioner? Okay, thank you. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to make an announcement that on April 30th, we'll have a District 5 Town Hall meeting with different updates on things in the parish as well as other areas and Shreveport Police Department. So if everyone could come out, it'll be 6 o'clock at the Boys and Girls Salvation Army Club. And that's on April 30th at 6 p.m. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to announce that on this afternoon, there will be a neighborhood association meeting in my district. The West Shreveport Alliance will be having their regular meeting, and I will be doing a health fair during that time. So blood pressure checks, blood sugar checks, and also doing CPR for those citizens that are available or that show up, and I'll be doing it throughout my district. But this is the first meeting on this evening at Bill Cockrell. So if we leave a little early, that will be why. Thank you very much.
You said at 6 p.m., Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
I hope to be gone by 6:30.
Okay, I see no other commissioners on board.
Okay, this time I have the last reading of notice of intent, hereby given by the Caddo Parish Commission, Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Plans to consider ordinances to adopt the parish's ad valorem millages for properties within the parish of Caddo at the meeting on Thursday, May 23rd at 3:30 p.m. at Government Plaza, 505 Travis Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. At this meeting, the parish will consider adoption of its general purpose millages, special purpose millages, and debt service millage. The parish will also consider adoption of the values fixed or to be fixed by the Louisiana Tax Commission on all assets for railways and other public service corporations, and consider setting the assessments of property classified as timberlands. Next, we move to President's report.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Before we move, Henry, can you give the public and the youth that's up here the layman's term of what he just read? Because I know a lot of them don't understand what he just said.
I'm sorry, with regard to what?
With the notice of intent, can you give like a little broken down like layman's term of what that really means to the public? Because a
The
lot
ad
of
valorem tax millages.
Yes, sir. Well, actually.
Erica, either one.
So, persons that own residential houses or businesses have to pay property taxes, and the parish, as well as other, like the school board and the sheriff, have to assess those property taxes and determine what their rate would be each year. And before we can do that, we have to make an announcement to the public that that the commission is going to consider that. And that's what Todd essentially read out, the commission's intent to set the rates for the property taxes for the year.
Okay, thank you.
That's it, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to make sure the record properly read. On the second to last line, Mr. Clerk, I think you accidentally said all assets for railways, et cetera. It should have been all assessments. Or
Said in
all
itself.
assessments for railways, et cetera. Thank you, Madam President.
So audibly, he read all assets and not all assessments?
Correct. I just for the record, wanted to get that straight. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this was advertised in our official journal also, so.
Thank you, sir.
Next we move to President's report.
Okay, thank you. I'm making sure nobody else had anything else to say. Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Thank you so much.
We're coming to your house. You cooking big?
Come on, just bring some eggs for the Easter egg hunt.
All right.
Listen, it has been such an honor and a privilege to be able to have these youth with us today. We cannot stress the importance enough of exposing them to our local government. You know, we're called counties and boroughs, other places, but here we're proud to be called parishes at the parish of Caddo. And when we say that we are making an impact that cannot be erased, I know that it has happened already today just by giving them this experience. We've connected to the unconnected because a lot of them did not even know what parish government was about. They are familiar with city government, but not as familiar with parish government. So we're grateful to have each of you here with us today. We hope that you will take this learning experience, and even if you don't decide to be a public servant, we hope that you'll get more involved in your communities, because this is what NACO wants to happen throughout the United States, that we involve our youth. And we're looking forward to developing a youth council very soon. As we have talked about it earlier today, I'm also talking about it to the public. So if you are interested in being a part of our youth council, please contact one of these commissioners that is around this horseshoe. We are looking forward to working with our youth. I want to also say thank you again. I know that all of our first responders and all of our telecommunicators have left already, but we just cannot stress how grateful we are for their service. And it's Sheriff Prater was talking earlier about the horrific tragedy that happened on Juella on last week. Commissioner Bowman and I both went to the scene after I caught my breath, because it literally knocked the breath out of me to watch it, you know, happening before your eyes. But when I tell you, we have some of the best officials in this city and in this state that made sure that no citizens were harmed during this very, very horrific tragedy. And they are still needing the public's help. So I'm helping them to make that plea, because neither one of them mentioned it on today, but the Shreveport Police crime investigators need your help. If you were a part of the melee that even was shot at by the Dollar Mania on Juella Avenue, they need to hear from you. So please contact them, 673-7300. Please don't call 911. We want to keep those communications open for real emergencies, but they really do need to talk to you. So if you were shot at, please give them a call at 318-673-7300. On tomorrow, Morning Star Baptist Church Community Day of Prayer will be held at the Dr. M.L. Hunt Life Center, and it will begin at 11 a.m. It is for the community. It is free and open to the public. There will be celebrations with food, games, jump houses, and a great time for the family to come together. Dr. Wilson, Will you please get voter registrars Ernie Robertson down here so we can talk about these satellite locations again?
Okay.
I think that's a conversation that we need to bring back to the table. Kind of kicking the can down the road. So if we could get him for our next regular session to attend our first one in May, regular session, our work session.
We'll make a formal request.
Thank you so much. I also want you to know that we have a global mixed basketball tournament that will be happening on April 27th, and it'll be held at George's Pond on the Louisiana State's Fairgrounds. And the day before, on the 26th, there's going to be a Boxing Mania presented by Bishop Productions. So there's going to be a lot of entertainment that weekend that is coming up that we want you to join in the festivities. I want to let my colleagues know that on last weekend, the Black Caucus, the Louisiana Police Jury Association, held its annual Empowerment Summit. We had 8 parishes that were in attendance, even with all of the bad weather, because it was very, very bad weather the entire weekend. But we got a lot of business accomplished, and they want to make sure that we continue to keep our communications open and sharing each other's information across the board with activities like those. So I thank you all who were able to attend, and the ones who were not able to attend. If you're a member and you want to get any of those minutes, please contact me, President or Treasurer Lyndon B. Johnson, for any additional information. The city of Alexandria wants me to make sure that I invite you to its Mayfest, which is May 4th through the 6th. They want to see Caddo Parish come down and support them in some events as well. I was going to make an announcement about the weather, but I believe that we've dodged the bullet once again. I think God's grace has allowed us to survive yet another storm. So he will do it every time. So we're just grateful that we don't even have to discuss that weather on today. Is Mr. Glass here? He's not here. Is there anyone here from Public Works? Nobody?
Mr. Tim just stepped out.
Tim stepped out also. Brandy? Yes. Okay, I need to get an update on the property on Denny Drive, D-E-N-N-Y Drive. He's already aware of it. I'm just trying to find out where we are with it.
Okay.
Okay, and I believe that is it. One last thing, on April 23rd, the Caddo Parish Juvenile Services is inviting us to share with their Light of Hope ceremony, and it will be conducted on the front steps of the Caddo Parish Juvenile Courthouse. That begins at 5:30 p.m. That's on April 23rd, 2019. And that's it. That concludes my president report.
Next, we move to public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases. Ordinance number 5865 of 2019 in regards to zoning case P419, amending zoning of property located on the southwest corner of Lakeshore Drive and Interstate 220, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from RA Rural Agriculture District to R17 Single Family Residential District.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5865 of 2019? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5865 of 2019? I see none. I declare this public hearing closed.
That closes public hearing on zoning ordinance. We move to public hearing on regular ordinances. Ordinance number 5866, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $15,000 to provide an appropriation for the Norwalk Council Boy Scouts of America.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5866? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5866? I see none. I declare this public hearing, ordinance number 5866, closed.
Ordinance number 5867 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $20,000 to provide an appropriation for the Stuffed Shrimp Festival.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5867? Please come up.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Please excuse my dress. I'm fresh out of the kitchen.
Well, I like your attire. It says "Proud Louisiana." I think that's making a statement. I mean, but perhaps we could have the "Proud" up closer to Caddo, like at the top of the
North
boot.
Louisiana, right?
And then I like it even more. But
Yes,
no,
ma'am.
go ahead.
Well, thank you guys for having me here. Just want to say.
State your name, please.
I'm
for the
sorry,
record.
Damian Chapman with Orlando's Cafe and the Shreveport Stuffed Shrimp Festival.
Thank you, sir.
Just like to thank you guys for even entertaining our request to help us with putting on our first annual Stuffed Shrimp Festival. Stuffed shrimp is something that's very unique and iconic to Shreveport, and Orlando's Cafe, in conjunction with Eddie Hughes Restaurant, is putting on a festival to bring awareness to the city of Shreveport and to the nation, actually, basically about what Shreveport is about. And in our efforts to do so, we'll be giving scholarships to deserving high school students to pursue a career in culinary arts or any background to go into further education. It makes me proud to see Madison here because she's a product of Huntington High School, where I graduated from, and serve as the vice president of the Alumni Association, where we are geared towards giving back to the students as well. And I want to make that prevalent because it's not just a festival for entertainment. We're definitely striving to give back to the community, and stuffed shrimp is just the area that we are familiar with, being that it was all that our family knew. We've been around for 98 years. My great-great-uncles founded our cafe in 1921, making us the oldest African-American restaurant in the United States. We're fifth generation, and just continuing the legacy and being a part of that is just so deep in tradition and heritage for myself. And last time we were here, it kind of brought me to shame because we had other people that came and spoke and was asking for support from you guys with Southern University, with the Meals on Wheels, and it all inspired me. And it just was, I almost felt shameful, you know. But I self-checked and was like, well, no, we're still doing this for a good purpose, for a good cause. It's not just for entertainment. Of course, that's what we want to do, to bring awareness and give people around Shreveport something to do, but as well as to continue a legacy and also provide scholarships for well-deserving students as well. I'm a graduate from Southern University in Baton Rouge, finished in engineering, and decided to come back to finish and continue my family's legacy. So providing something for someone else to continue in that same footstep would be definitely something that we're geared towards doing with this festival. So thank you guys so very much. I did bring some stuffed shrimp for the commissioners to kind of just, you know, taste and see of what we will be expecting from the festival and everything. So in our absence of Eddie's restaurant, they bring and send their love and thanks as well. So.
Why is Randy out of his chair already?
He's about, and we're working right now. Don't give the box to Randy. Give it to Michelle. That's the only place it'll be safe at.
We can put it in the kitchen and lock the door.
That sounds good. Ty will make sure he takes care of it. Nobody will get anything. Mr. Chapman, we thank you so much for coming down to share. And I was just thinking as you were saying that you are definitely a legacy. I personally knew your dad. Long history. I don't even want to say all of the things that I know about your great family, but I wanted to say, when you said 1921 being the first African American restaurant in the city.
In the country.
In the country.
In the whole
I wanted
United
you to
States.
correct me with that, because I've recently learned some other legacies about something else that is probably a direct connection. And I'm sure that once they finished performing at the Clint Temple, they ate at
Come on now.
the wonderful Freeman and Harris. So thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay. I see Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
No, Madam President, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows, if we get those, you have to stay here until we eat them. You can't leave.
Yes, sir.
If you leave, then we have to throw them away. So
I've already sent a message and say, is this an ethics violation? Because we don't want to think that we're being bribed with stuffed shrimp. We're so grateful to eat them, every piece of them. But
just a small token of appreciation.
Thank you so much. So please stay for the remainder of the meeting. I promise. I'm not going to be like a Baptist preacher today. I'm not going to hold you long. I'm going to be like Elizabeth Taylor with her husband. Just stay right here. We'll be done. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
I want to tell Damon, thank you for coming in, but I'm allergic to shrimp, so feel free to leave if you like.
Yes. Well, we take care of you during the week for other things, right?
Make them a salad.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay.
I got a point of order. We're not supposed to be asking questions. This is a public hearing for or against. When we vote on the ordinance, if we want to bring him back up and talk to him, that's when the appropriate time to do that.
Duly noted.
And I'm not trying to be.
Duly noted.
I'm just trying to, we need to be fair for everybody.
Absolutely.
And nothing against you. We can bring you back
Yes,
up
sir,
in a
no
minute.
problem.
Okay, we haven't heard any questions though. Thank you. Commissioner Carthoy, was that what you was on the board for also?
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're not
Okay.
supposed to talk.
But I had to clarify that, but leave it for us.
All right. Now, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, that closes our public hearings.
No, sir. I haven't asked if there's anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5867. I see none. I declare this public hearing closed for ordinance number 5867. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to zoning ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5865 of 2019 in regards to zoning case P419.
So moved.
Second.
I see no discussion. Please vote. And that passes 11-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5866 of 2019. Appropriation of $15,000
Move
for
to
normal
adopt.
development.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson and second by the chair. I see no discussion. Please vote.
Mr. Bowman?
And that passes 11-0.
Ordinance number 5867. $20,000 to provide appropriation for Stuffed Shrimp Festival.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by the chair and second by Commissioner Lewis Johnson. I reserve my right to speak, and I have Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a substitute motion. In the substitute motion, we'd be striking 20,000 and replacing it with 10,000, and at the end of Shrimp Festival, put comma with an additional 10,000 to be raised from private sources.
Second.
And
Would you like to speak, sir?
Yes, thank you, Madam President.
Mhm.
I think this is a worthy cause. However, I do grow concerned with large financial contributions to numerous organizations throughout our community. I think we have to show some discipline with respect to those matters. I believe that we voted on a $10,000 substitute previously. It didn't pass. So I'm assuming a 10,000 or 5,000 wouldn't pass. So in order to try to sweeten a $10,000 contribution from the commission, I propose that we raise an additional 10,000 from private sources. So this is a substitute, or it's a compromise position that I thought we might be able to get a quorum on.
But technically, it's a substitute motion.
So technically, it's a substitute motion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Middleton, were you on the board?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and speak.
Thank you.
I know you're not at your full time that you're allocated, but we're watching it, so thank you. Commissioner Atkins' name was on there. I don't know what happened to the board.
It's kind of flipping around over
That's
there.
okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to make a substitute motion to the substitute for $5,000, as I said previously, and I think it's a great program. And I'm not trying
second.
to throw any water on anything, but we do need kind of tone this back a little bit, in my opinion. And really, that's just being nice even to give 5,000, because I could probably go with zero. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Second Commissioner Middleton's motion.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Substitute to the substitute motion. Mr. Clerk, $5,000 by Commissioner Mike Middleton, and it was second by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Okay, and he's already spoken on his motion. Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I wasn't gonna say too much today, but, you know, back when we first introduced this, the first thing I said was when Stacey Brown came down here with the Tourism Bureau, I asked her a question. I said, what is Shreveport known for? And she couldn't give me one definitive answer. It was a bunch of different things. But when you ask certain people in the community, what basically are we known for? I mean, what's different between here and anywhere else in the United States? And it's actually the stuffed shrimp.
Absolutely.
I mean, when people come from out of town who actually stay in Shreveport and leave and come back, it's about 3 things that they go for right now. They go for stuffed shrimp, they go for some chicken, and they go for some donuts.
Absolutely.
And I'm not gonna call those other
Absolutely.
names or who they are, but basically those are the 3 things. When people come from out of town, back home, they look for those 3 things. This festival is geared, first year festival. There's a learning curve that's gonna be incurred upon this. But basically this festival is basically putting the Shreveport on the map as the stuffed shrimp capital. And you know, we jumped real fast on Showtime Boxing, we jumped real fast on Miss Teen USA and Miss USA pageant. But what was the local impact of that? I mean, have we really seen it? This is something that's homegrown, and we always talk about wanting our youth and everybody to stay in Shreveport. But why would we want to stay in Shreveport when you can't even support something that they want to do? So to say the 5,000 and say that it could be actually 0 is to me an insult. But you know, I think that the substitute motion that Commissioner Atkins came up with, I can live with, because it still, at the end of the day, it still gives the same amount of money. And so I understand his situation of everyone has their own politics on what they want to do and how they want to represent for as the public dollars. But you know, this is an opportunity to make Shreveport shine from within, instead of for somebody coming from outside to try to make Shreveport shine. I believe that there will be a lot of sweat equity involved in this to make sure that the first one comes out spectacular. So I think that, you know, the goal is to try to help them get this done, and at the end of that, we can come back and talk about it to see how well it basically was. And I'm asking you guys to support either the original motion or the first substitute motion. Thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
Good evening. I know oftentimes we juxtapose between progress and preservation, and what I mean by that statement is that the implementation of a stuffed shrimp festival in the city of Shreveport adds a certain nuance to something that we haven't historically done. And so when you start talking, as Commissioner Johnson talked about, what are we known for, then we begin to broaden the perspective of what Shreveport is and what we can attract. And so very briefly, I will be supporting the substitute motion. I like the compromise that Commissioner Atkins has offered, and it still yields us the same net effect. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I try not to overspeak because obviously our vote speaks for ourselves in that respect, but I feel like I would be remiss if I pass the opportunity to speak on behalf of this festival, this attempt, the hard work that goes into it, and the excellent job that continues to happen at Orlando's and at Eddie's. And I just believe in them, and I believe in what they're moving forward. So I'm proud to vote for it, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Atkins for bringing forward the substitute motion. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I think I share the sentiments of both Commissioners Lyndon B. Johnson, Lewis Johnson, as well as Commissioner Carthorne. This is something that is very unique to Shreveport, and it is an identity. Stuffed shrimp are nowhere like they are in Shreveport, Louisiana. And this was one of the things that I will reiterate by saying that when in Washington, D.C. There was no representation of a festival of Shreveport, Louisiana. Here's our opportunity to present one for the upcoming event. I would ask if you would support the original motion, or if you would support the substitute motion that Commissioner John Atkins has made as well, because I feel like that's fair and it's equitable to the amount that is being asked for the appropriations. So I just ask that we would govern ourselves accordingly and vote, because I don't see anyone else on the board to speak. Thank you. Please vote.
Which motion are we
Which we
voting on?
voting on first?
We're voting on the substitute to the substitute first, which would be Commissioner Mike Middleton's motion for $5,000.
Thank you.
Okay, that's what we're voting for first. So if you're in favor of that, vote yes. If you're not, vote no.
That's the right one. Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Atkins?
See, it's pushed. I'll try it again. How about that time?
Okay, and that fails 4-6. Okay, now we're voting on the substitute motion.
The $10,000 appropriation for Stuff Strip Festival and $10,000 from private sources.
Okay. Please vote if you're in favor of the motion. If you're against it, vote no. That's for Commissioner John Atkins' motion. And that passes 7-3. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to zoning ordinances for introduction by title. Zoning case P919 in regards to ordinance number 5868 of 2019. Amending the zoning of property located at 3800 block of Old Morrisport Road, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from RA Rural Agriculture Zoning District to R1 Single Family Residential Zoning District. Then ordinances for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5869, amending the budget estimated revenues and expenditures for the general fund and the capital outlay fund in the amount of $100,000 to provide an appropriation for a law school feasibility study. Ordinance number 5871, to amend ordinance numbers 5754, 5755, 5757, 5758, 5761, 5783, 5784, 5790, 5799, 5825, 5826, 5827, 5839, 5853, 5856, and 5857, 5861, relative to zoning matters and the Unified Development Code by amending the reference to Uniform Development Code to read Unified Development Code wherever it appears, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Ordinance number 5872, to deem property surplus and authorize the sale of surplus property owned by the Parish of Caddo. Ordinance number 5873, to deem property surplus and authorize the sale of surplus property owned by the Parish of Caddo. Ordinance number 5874 of 2019, to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, Caddo Parish Unified Development Code by amending Section 15.1 Code Text Amendment regarding the amendment process, amending Section 16.2 Zoning Map Amendment regarding the amendment process by amending Section 16.5 Administrative Exception to Zoning regarding process and standards by amending Section 16.6 Site Plan Review regarding process and standards by amending Article 16 Zoning Application Approval Processes to enact 16.11 Certificate of Occupancy. Next, we need to ratify the minutes
So
of
moved.
April 15th.
Second.
It was moved by the chair and it was seconded by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Please vote. And that passes 10-1? Commissioner Carthorne, you meant to vote against that?
No, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Are you sleeping?
You want to make that an audible correction?
Yes, I vote yes.
Okay, that passes 11-0. Thank you, sir.
Next, we move to resolutions. Resolution number 25, to amend resolutions 27 and 77 of 2018 approving the Calumet Shreveport Refining LLC and Calumet branded.
So
products
moved.
LLC.
Second. It was moved by Parliamentarian Bowman, and that was second by Commissioner John Atkins. I see one commissioner on board, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Please
Yes, I
state.
have to abstain from this vote. I am an employee of Calumet Shreveport Refining.
Thank you for stating your reason for abstention from this vote. Anything else?
Basically, it's only a clerical error. On the original application, it was Calumet Shreveport Lubricants and Waxes LLC, and the official name is Calumet Shreveport Refining LLC.
Thank you, sir, for that clarification. I see no further discussion. Please vote. And that passes 9-1 with one abstention. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we have resolution number 26, urging members of the Northwest Louisiana Legislative
So
Delegation.
moved.
Second.
It's been moved by the chair, and that was second by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne, and I see Commissioner Doug Dominic on board.
Was that number 26? I'd
Yes.
like to move to englobo resolution number 26, resolution number 28, resolution number 29, and resolution
Second.
number 30.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Doug Dominic, and it was second.
Englobo and adopt.
It's been moved by Commissioner Doug Dominic and second by the chair to englobo and adopt the resolutions that you heard. I see no discussion. Please vote.
Just for clarification, 28 was already approved, so we will not have that one in there.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that passes 11-0. Next item, Mr.
We have
Clerk.
no old business, we move to new business. Confirmation of reappointment to Caddo Bossier Port Commissioner, Miss Erica Bryant.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Hip, hip, hooray.
I think that passes by acclamation, but no, please vote.
Nobody better than Miss Bryant.
And we only vote once.
And that passes unanimously.
Yay.
Thank you. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Congratulations.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports.
Yes. I just have a few things to say before we close out. I don't have any citizens comments. I just want to make sure that the students, if you missed school today, our deputy clerk, or our clerk, actually has your letters right there, because this is an excused day of absence. It will not be counted against you. This is a learning experience. You are in a learning environment, so your school participates in National Government Day also. I wanted to make sure that you all knew that. And also, because it is resurrection season, there's this book out. Our kids will be out of school for the next couple of days. It's called I Can Do All Things by Kenya Samuel. So this will be a great book to read. It's not rainy, so it's going to be my rainy day remark, but it's not rainy. But it'll be a great book for them to read, to just take a few moments from those video games and from outside playing. So if you get a chance, drop online and you can find I Can Do All Things by Kenya Samuel.
And through Christ.
Yes, you can. Yes, sir.
Could you mention?
Yes, I will. Kenya Samuel is the daughter of our assistant director, Mr. Kelvin Samuel.
Yay!
And we're very proud of her. So thank you so much. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. I want to take this opportunity. I see Billy Anderson in the crowd. Billy's a great asset to Southern Hills, the best neighborhood in Shreveport. He brings out all the kids on countless occasions from Pathways to help me and help our crew clean up our neighborhood, and I really appreciate you and for everything you do, and thank you for coming down here. He wanted to bring a lot of the students, but it's spring break, so none of them were able to come, but you still showed up anyway, so thanks for your support, for what you do. And speaking of our neighborhood, Word of God Ministries, we're having our resurrection celebration this Saturday, so you guys welcome to come out. It's $5 armbands for all the kids to ride whatever they want to ride. There's going to be snow cones, music, all kind of events. And then, of course, it's Happy Easter on Sunday. And I want you guys to remember that it's not just about Easter eggs and bunnies. It's about the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
So I'm very thankful to celebrate with you guys this Sunday. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Preach.
You can come to Morning Star for free. No, I'm just joking. It's on a different day. So I just had to throw that in. Okay. I'm sorry. My lovely assistant say she pushed the button too soon. It's actually Commissioner Carthorne's turn.
All right. Well, I want to first and foremost say, give these young people seated around this horseshoe a round of applause for coming out and being a part of this government day. Knowing how your government works locally, at the state level, at the national level is so important. I remember being a member of Board State back in the mid-'80s and being able to sit down, to go down to the state legislature and actually understand how government works from the local to the state and to the nation. So this is a good opportunity for you guys to be a part of. I'm so fortunate to have a young lady from my alma mater, Booker T. Washington High School, seated adjacent to me. And I hope that you guys go on in life and do great things, and I know that you will. Thank you, Commissioner.
I have to, though.
Okay, let's do it.
So I wasn't going to say anything else about our students. I would, I think that all of the commissioners said the sentiments of me when I say that we're very proud of these young people who are sitting around the horseshoe. But I have to just personally say that Miss Madison Parson is one of the most energetic, one of the most academic excellent students in Caddo Parish. And she is on her way to Southern University. She is captain of the dance line, and I'm sure she's going to be a dancing doll down at Southern University. But we are just so proud of her. She's the Miss AKA debutante of 2019. I'm sorry. But she has so much, such a bright future, and we're just so proud of her. And I know that her parents are watching, and they're online and on TV. Everybody knows Madison in Shreveport, Louisiana. And guess what? She's not just my constituent; she's my cousin.
Okay.
Go figure. So we're just so proud of you, Madison. And Madison is shy just like me, so she doesn't talk a lot. But I want to say to the parents: are there any parents that are here? That we have your child around this horseshoe on today? Would you please stand? We just want to recognize and honor you. We're so grateful that you allowed your children to be a part of this process on today, so we thank you because we know it took a little sacrifice for you to be here to attend this meeting also, so we thank you for allowing us to borrow her for just a little while. Thank you.
Yeah, also, Madam President, if Madison needs a tour guide when she gets to Southern, my son is a freshman down. I'm sure.
No, thank you.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Commissioner Middleton.
Get in trouble.
Thank you, ma'am. And at First Bossier, we're having a free extravaganza on Saturday. We have 9:45 and 9:15 and 10:45, right, Angela? Something like that, services. But since you're bragging or pointing things out, this young lady right here is the president of the Uri Drive Middle School Student Council. And Miss Henderson, you've all heard her sing before.
Oh, yeah.
She is Miss, tell it to me, City?
Yeah.
Natchitoches?
Natchitoches City of Lights, outstanding team.
Outstanding team, Natchitoches City of Lights.
Awesome.
So since we're doing this, good
Right
job.
back.
Absolutely. That's what we brought them here for, to brag on them. So we're grateful at that experience. I think about what Commissioner Carthorne said. The very first time I took a picture on the steps of the Capitol in Baton Rouge, I probably couldn't even talk. And so I was exposed to government at a very early age also. But I always have to go back and thank a teacher who took me to Baton Rouge when I was in the 6th grade. I was always very mature for my age, and her name is Miss Rosalind Bryant. And she's the sister of our former mayor, Glover. And so I just always give her thanks for that opportunity because she introduced me to legislation and what it was all about, and I've been excited about it ever since. So thank you for bringing that back to my remembrance also, Commissioner Carthorne. I see no other commissioners on board.
Move to adjourn.
So move. Meeting is adjourned.
Madison.
That was 5 p.m.
Let's make sure I can